What do you do when you've got not one, but two rebuilt Yamaha R1s in your garage? Well, let's find out together. I've always been drawn to the Yamaha R1. I was fortunate enough to pick up a wrecked 2023 R1. We got a 2023 R1! And another wrecked 2011 R1. Yeah, I bought another R1. The 2023 needed a complete front end along with a frame swap. And the 2011 wasn't as bad, but it also came with its own challenges. Look at all those little metal pieces. This would have been really bad. I worked tirelessly on both bikes and got them running and looking amazing. But now I want to put them side by side and see which one revs my heart the most. So in the previous episode, I got this bike YouTube ready and it looks stunning, guys. But there's a few little things that I left out here and there, and I want to try sort them out in this episode. So this is going to be the first one. As you guys can see, this cover over here has some scuffs when the bike went down, and this bolt over here has been grounded down. So I was going to buy a new cover, but I think we can save this, guys. I think I can sand this down, put some body filler on it, repaint it, get some new hardware, and then this should be all good. I want to try and fit the cover that goes over here. I couldn't previously because these aftermarket rear sets kind of get in the way, and I couldn't find a mounting bracket or area for the cover on these rear sets. So I'm gonna try one last time. Hopefully I get it right. Hopefully I can make a plan. If all fails, then I'm gonna try and polish this metal piece so that it looks a little bit better than it does now. Then I want to replace this chain guard because this one is definitely not looking good. This plastic piece needs to be replaced because it's supposed to look like this one, and what it does is it secures this part of the tailpiece onto the subframe. Because we don't have one here, this piece is flapping all over the place, so we definitely need to get this sorted. We're missing some inner covers that go on both sides just to tidy up the front and hide all these wires. I had them previously, but I didn't put them on because our turn signals needed to be wired up. So I'm gonna do that and then put the covers on the bike so we look nice and clean over here. So yeah, we've got a couple of things we still need to do. Let's get cracking. I'm gonna tackle the chain guard first, and all I need to do is replace this damaged one with the replacement one I got from my local parts shop. The chain guard is secured with 3 mounting points. Once I got all 3 bolts off, I could remove the chain guard and start mounting up the new one. But the chain guard didn't want to go on. Yeah, we're not off to a good start, guys. This replacement chain guard that I got doesn't seem to be for this bike, because if I put it side by side with the one that came off the bike, you can see a slight difference, mainly on this piece over here. This piece basically bolts onto this guy, and this one that we have over here is pointing that way. The one that came off the bike is pointing slightly backward, so it doesn't line up. And even the front, although this one bolts on perfectly, the front also doesn't line up. So yeah, it looks like I'm gonna have to go back and find one that looks exactly like this one. In the meantime, let's get the new fairing bracket on. I need to remove the old broken piece first, then I can slide in the new one and fasten it down with 2 bolts, and lastly secure the fairing piece with a plastic clip, and that should be it. Okay guys, so I went back to the place that sold me that other chain guard that didn't want to line up, and unfortunately they didn't have something that's similar to this one, but they had something even better, guys. Check this out. They had this carbon chain and mudguard combo, which I just couldn't say no to, guys. This thing looks super stunning. It's gonna look really awesome on the bike. It's from a used bike, hence you can see the slight yellow tint, but it's gonna look nice regardless. So yeah guys, I guess let's get this on the bike and see how it looks. The old plastic mud guard is coming off first. Then I can throw on the carbon piece, which is also secured down by 3 bolts. Next up is the carbon chain guard. This went on much easier than the previous one, and all I had to do was put in a spacer at the back just to make sure there's enough clearance so the chain doesn't grind on it. So I was gonna fit these brand new flush mount turn signals that I got, and you can see on the packaging here they say these are flush mount and they're for an R1, but just check how the fitment looks here, guys. These are more sunken in than flush with the fairing here. You can barely see them from the front over here. I know they're gonna glow, but I don't think these are gonna be visible enough. I don't think that's gonna be safe, so I'm gonna take these out and try find some other ones that look a little bit similar to this one but fit a little bit better. I'm gonna turn my attention to the engine cover. I'm gonna start by sanding it down so I can take off some of the high spots. Once that's all good and smooth, I'm gonna start laying down some body filler. This is so we can fill in some of the deeper scratches. While that's drying, I'm gonna drill into this bolt so I can use my extractor tool and remove it. This seemed to be rather challenging because the drill didn't want to go through the bolt. I tried some of the other bolts and realized that there was another one that needed to be extracted. After a couple of failed attempts, my new plan was to get a handsaw and use it to cut a line through the bolt. The plan was to then use a flathead spanner to undo the bolt. Eventually, I managed to get the bolt out. Now, I just had to do the same thing to the other bolt. With all the bolts out, I can start sanding this cover to a nice and smooth surface. I didn't show the painting process here, but I threw on 2 coats of primer and 3 coats of high heat paint. I've got the cover all painted and it's looking a lot better than it did before, guys. It's definitely not perfect, but I can live with this. So I'm gonna slap this back on the bike and then we'll move on to that exhaust heat shield cover. Now to fit the heat shield cover on, I first need to remove the rear sets. Once those are off, I can put the cover where it's supposed to be and kind of mock up how I think it should sit. Okay guys, I'm really struggling right now with this cover, and now I'm remembering why I actually left it off when I put those rear sets on. So the issue that I'm having is there's not enough clearance on this little notch over here to slide behind this piece. So the way this is supposed to sit, and I'll use this OEM piece here as an example, is this is supposed to kind of slide. There's a bit of a gap that's enough for the spring here, and there's like 2 mounting points, that and the one up there. So I've got a mounting point. I've got tons of mounting points over here. Like I'm saying, the only issue is that this is not sliding past this guy, and now it's giving me some clearance issues. So I think what I'm going to do is try and shave off a bit of this part over here just so that we've got enough clearance, and hopefully once we've shaven that off, this guy should fit on there perfectly. I'm going to shave off as much as I can without ruining the cover. This is a very tedious process because I need to cut a little bit and then fit the part back on the rear sets, then take it off to cut some more, and then fit it back on to see if I've cut enough. And after a couple of tries, I think I might have it how I wanted. So now that I've got the placement right, I can start bolting down the cover onto the rear set. Then the final step is to put the rear sets back on the bike with the cover. Wow guys, what a mission it was to get that plastic piece on there. I mean, I fought and literally had to modify this thing just to make it work, and right now it's sitting okay. The fitment isn't perfect, but it's working for now. The biggest problem we're facing is that we've got 2 aftermarket parts working against us. So the first one are these rear sets over here, and then this exhaust. This piece was designed to fit on the OEM setup, so the OEM rear sets and the OEM exhaust. So I've literally had to modify this thing just to make it work, and It's working, it's serving the purpose. I mainly just wanted to get rid of that silver that was on the heat shield, just to get a bit of a black kind of flow going on here, and it's doing just that. But now we've got our engine cover sorted and we've got our exhaust cover sorted over there. There's something that I did off camera, guys, and I fitted these turn signals, or at least one side, because I wanted to see if this is gonna work, because the fitment is a bit finicky and that seems to be the theme of today. But I made it work and I'll show you how I did it when I fit the other side. So this is what's currently going on with the turn signals. So these are the turn signals that I got. They came with these end connectors, which I don't like because these are not waterproof, but I chopped that piece off so that I could use these connectors, which are waterproof. Now the next issue I ran into was this turn signal sinks in because the hole on the R1 fairing is a bit wide and oval. This is round and small, so I got this washer to stop it from sinking in. So this goes in first and then I join these guys, but before I do, I've got another washer to hold the turn signal at the back, and then this nut to tighten up the turn signal onto the bike. And for the guys wondering why I'm using these connectors, that's because the bike came with ripped off wires or a missing connector on this side. So I've committed to using these connectors, or at least on this side. The left side has, but I think I'm just gonna chop it off just to make everything uniform and work the same. So now that you guys have seen how this works, I'm gonna put it together and then throw it on the left side. I couldn't really find the flush mount turn signals I wanted for this bike, so I'm gonna settle for these. But to be honest, these don't look that bad. Now once I've got the turn signal wired up to the connector, I can start mounting it to the bike. Once it's nice and secure, I can chop off the connector that's on the wiring harness and start wiring up the new connector that's gonna work with the turn signal. I didn't want to remove the fairing, so it's going to be a bit harder for you guys to see what I'm doing, but I got the turn signal working. Now both turn signals are working perfectly. I can start putting on the plastic pieces in the front. These just slide into place and are held down with a couple of plastic clips. And just like that, guys, I'd say the R1 is all done. We've got working turn signals, all the plastics are on the bike, got that engine cover sorted out, it's looking good. We fitted that exhaust cover over there, got that carbon fiber chain and mudguard combo fitted, it's looking pretty. And remember guys, we fitted that piece underneath the seat that holds this fairing in place. The only thing I haven't done is take this bike out for another ride, because remember guys, we got that rear wheel straightened and I haven't taken this bike on the road since, so I want to take it out and make sure that everything is running good.
A few moments later.
Okay guys, before we head out on the 2011 R1, I wanted to have it side by side with the 2023, just so we can get a look at both bikes together and you guys can kind of see the whole black and red theme coming across both bikes. Both of these look stunning, but I must say currently my favorite is this one. But we'll talk a little bit more on both these bikes. For now, I'm gonna hop on this bike and roll out. So immediately when I hopped on the 2011, I could feel that the bike feels a bit different from the 2023.
This bike definitely feels a lot more smoother. I'll say a lot more nimble as well.
The throttle response also felt a bit different, a bit harder, and maybe that has something to do with the fact that this bike uses a throttle cable.
This one has a better throttle response. When I open, it's almost instant power, and that's thanks to that electronic throttle. That thing is a game changer.
One thing that kept throwing me off is the lack of a quick shifter on this bike. I mean, it's definitely not required, but it's nice when you have it there.
This bike, we've got an up and down quick shifter. So I can downshift, and when I want to accelerate, got a quick shifter doing all the work for me, which is super nice. So one other thing is this bike looks and feels massive. Like I'm sitting on this thing and it feels like I'm sitting on a bus. Like it's so wide up front there. The front on this bike is definitely, or at least feels slimmer. It's not as open as on the Big Bang. And then I guess the most important thing is the riding position. I mean, when I got on this bike after being on the 2023, they almost felt similar, but there's a slight difference, and I must say I like the position on the newer bike way more. The sitting position on this bike is definitely not the same. This one is a lot taller and a lot more aggressive. It just feels like I'm on a race bike, like I'm ready to attack a track or some bends. It's just a lot more aggressive.
Okay, now coming to the looks, those are obviously subjective, and you know, everyone likes what they like. Personally, I love the look of the newer R1. I think this R1 looks the best, guys. This thing looks mean, it looks aggressive, it looks modern. I mean, mine is a bit of an exception because it's got the wings and everything, but even without, I think this style R1 is the better looking one. I mean, this still looks nice. The Big Bang definitely still has that thing about it, you know, with those eyes over there. But compared to the new one, this definitely didn't age well. The one thing I wish the 2023 had are these gold forks. I think there's something about gold forks, guys. They just give the bike that premium look, and for some reason Yamaha decided to go with the black forks. I mean, they work for me now because I'm going with the whole blacked out look, but I wish I could get a set of gold forks for this bike. One gripe that I have with the 2023 is the size of the pillion seat. You can see how nice and chunky this one is. Someone can definitely sit here compared to the seat on this bike, which looks way smaller, and I can't imagine this thing being comfortable. I think I'm a massive fan of the 2023 rims. These ones look kind of plain. They look like rims on any other bike. The wheels on this bike definitely look more exotic. I always compare them to a Lambo wheels or something like that. They definitely stand out, and I think they look much more interesting in my opinion. Fun fact about the 2023 is that it comes with titanium headers from factory, and it's nice to see that the older models also come with titanium headers. As you can see on this bike, we've got the titanium headers along with the titanium mid pipe going to our tailpiece. Obviously on this bike we don't have a quick shifter. Like I said, everything is all manual here. You either use the clutch or you clutchless shift. On this bike we've got an up and down quick shifter, which definitely feels a lot nicer than just having the manual shifter. I mean, I can use the clutch when I want, but it just feels nice having the option there. This bike definitely doesn't sound as loud, and I'll do a rev comparison so you guys can hear for yourselves. I hope my mic caught that because that is loud, guys, and the pops you get on this bike are non-existent on the Big Bang. It doesn't have the pops like on the new gen. I think partly because of how long this exhaust is, but it still sounds super nice with that stealth performance exhaust. But I'll let you guys decide which one you prefer the most. I will say though, I've ridden the 2023 way more times than I've ridden this bike. Alrighty guys, we're back, and I hope you guys enjoyed that side-by-side comparison between this 2011 R1 and the 2023 R1. That was just high level. There's definitely more differences between the two bikes. This bike feels like a completely different bike from the 2023. It's not a matter of jumping on the 2023 and it feels like an upgrade. It feels like a completely different bike. But I want to get into something that a lot of you guys have been asking me to do, and that's a cost breakdown. I've been shying away from doing those because it's sometimes hard to keep track of your expenses, especially if I'm passionate about the project. When it comes to this one, it was easy to kind of manage because there wasn't a lot to do, there wasn't a lot to buy, so I can easily do a price breakdown for this bike. Now, I've got a list of items over here. They're not sorted in order, just everything I could remember. So the first one was the cost of buying this bike wrecked. So I got this bike for 46,948.75. That's how much this bike cost. And then I got headlights and fairings, which was 6,000 Rand. I did the exhaust refurbishment, that cost me 3,900 Rand. I got the stator cover for this bike, which was 300 Rand. The cluster bracket was 850 Rand. The mirrors were 750 Rand. I opted for rear sets on this bike and those cost me 2,500 Rand. The rear foot pegs were 950 Rand. The left handlebar switch was 850 Rand. The levers were 600 Rand. And then to get the tank fixed, painted, along with the fairings was 2,500 Rand. I got oil for 650 Rand. An oil filter was 280 Rand. The tank grips were 400 Rand. The cover that I got for the cluster was 650 Rand. The carbon fiber chain and mudguard combo was 850 Rand. Straightening the rim was 900 Rand. Those fork adjusters I got were 350 Rand. All the LED lights that I put on the front here cost about 300 Rand. The turn signals along with all the connectors was about 160 Rand. The swing arm spools that I got for this bike were 200 Rand. And then lastly, the pillion seat was 750 Rand, which brings us to a build total of 71,648 Rand and 75 cents. Now, there were a couple of things that I used, like my spray paint and other miscellaneous things that I didn't factor into this because I had them lying around, but I think everything I've specified here is everything that I took out money for. So when you compare how much these bikes are going for, this year model with this mileage would be around 100 and let's say 20,000 Rand. 71,000 Rand doesn't seem like a lot. Obviously, if I sell it, I wouldn't list it up for that much because this is a crashed bike, but that gives you a bit of an idea into the cost between buying a used bike and a crashed bike. Obviously, each have their own advantages and disadvantages, but I like the crashed bike route because I know exactly what's wrong with this bike. I've touched every part of this bike, so I know this thing inside and out. But yeah, I thought I'd just add that in there for all the guys that have been asking me to do a price breakdown. One thing that I forgot to factor in is the labor, guys. Obviously, I'm doing everything myself, so the labor costs are, I'd say, zero. But if you had to take this bike in its wrecked state to someone to get it sorted out, you'd obviously have to pay them. So that's another thing to factor in. But yeah, I think I'm gonna wrap it up here. I hope you guys enjoyed this 2011 R1 rebuild. This might be the last time you guys are seeing it. So throw your comments down below. Let me know what you liked about the rebuild, what you don't like about this bike, what you'd like me to improve on, and maybe what I should get next. And don't forget to smash that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already, guys. That really goes a long way. But that's gonna be it from me, guys. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace out.